In terms of the whole thing, Sean, it's all orchestrated. It is a sham trial. The judge, he never looks at President Trump. I mean, you can tell there's no love lost there because President Trump wants to give his side in terms of telling the media, hey, this is what happened. I can't believe that we're going against the Constitution.
The Biden team is so inefficient, and I think the Trump team is doing such a good job in the messaging in response to the border crisis, in response to the economy, in response to the 2 foreign wars that have been started, in response to these political persecutions through prosecutions that are going on, that I would still accept these debates. Obviously, you try to work on some of the details on this, try to see if you can get to a network that's not going to be as unfriendly. And Sean, you've been involved in the negotiations behind those in the past, so you know what that's like. But I think the opportunity to get Joe Biden in a place where you can get the two of yourselves on stage right there, it's a massive advantage to you. I mean, as a candidate.
All right, this is the Sean Spicer Show. It is Wednesday. Man, do we have a lot to get to today. Oh, I'm fired up. It's a day off of court on Wednesdays. I wondered, okay, we're going to break this down today. We got Andrew Giuliani. We got Senator Tommy Tuberville, both who've been in the courtroom. Both are going to give us a great description of what it's like. How do you get in there? What's the ticket like? I'm going to break that down with both of them. But then I wake up and there's breaking news. Joe Biden pops out this video. Take a look.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. And since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays.
Now, I wonder if he got hacked or this is AI, but apparently it's real. This thing escalated real quick. Biden's already accepted an invitation from CNN. Shocker. Trump said, I'll do anytime, anywhere. So they're going to debate June 27th on CNN. Unbelievable. That shows you that Trump is willing to go anywhere. Now, here's the particulars. Biden says Jill has to debate, has to moderate, and there has to be 2-hour naps in between. I'm kidding. But he basically says no third parties, no RFK. No matter how high he's polling, it's mano a mano. He's afraid of RFK. Number 2, it had to be on a friendly television network in their studio with no audience. So who are they going to get? Probably like Jake Tapper, a Democrat. Just FYI, that's what's going to happen. You're going to have Jake Tapper or one of the other Democrats. I mean, you can't ask for a more friendly court, but who cares? I mean, Donald Trump's going to crush this thing. By the way, in tomorrow's show or Friday, I want to tell you a really fascinating story. I actually helped negotiate the NBC town hall. I don't have time today to get into it, but I will give you some insight that nobody else has later this week when we have a little bit more time because it's fascinating. I will tell you one really funny story about what Trump said to me as I was on my way to negotiate with NBC that still brings back some pretty fond memories. So there's your tease for the rest of the night. Then the other thing that I wanted to give you a heads up on is last night there were some primaries. I'm going to get into that in a second. Before I do all that, though, I want to tell you about my friend Leo Grillo at Delta Rescue. You've heard me talk about him before. Delta Rescue is a no-kill sanctuary, not a shelter, a sanctuary that provides veterinary care, nutritional care for dogs, cats, horses, you name it. And Leo Grillo, this has been his lifelong mission, to care for animals that need the care. The thing about Delta Rescue, and I urge you, and you've probably heard me say this before, I'm I don't know whether I'd call it the rescuer, but I'm the owner of 3 rescue dogs. So I know what it's like to care for an animal that was abandoned or mistreated. And I can't imagine what Leo does to make this all happen at Delta Rescue. And I've told you before, go to deltarescue.org, check out the videos. But Leo is only able to do this because of donations from all of us, animal lovers, that understand what it takes to do this, to provide the veterinary care, the nutritional care. So go to deltarescue.org, check out the videos, and please consider a contribution. I don't care if it's $10, $100, $1,000, $10,000, but also check out the estate planning kit. Because if we're going to make a mission like this enduring, we've got to maybe think about making it part of our estate so that what Leo has started can go on for decades. So please go to deltarescue.org, consider a donation now, and how to maybe make it part of your estate through that estate planning kit on deltarescue.org. Okay, let's get back to these primary debates that I want to tell you about. In Maryland, Larry Hogan won the primary to take on the Democrat. I'm going to tell you about that in a second, but just real quick, I don't care what you like, whether you like Larry Hogan or not. He is the only chance we have of winning that seat. And if we win it, that is one more vote to keep the majority, to put Ron Johnson in charge of a committee, to get the nominees through. This isn't about Larry Hogan, folks. This is about the majority controlling the agenda, getting nominations through. And he's the only one that can win. Sorry. I know not a lot of hardcore MAGA Republicans like Larry Hogan. I get it. I'm not asking you to be his best friend, but understand why it's important, because Donald Trump does. He's going to face off against Angela Alsobrook. She's a county executive in Maryland. She beat David Trone. David Trone is the owner of Total Wine. He spent $60 million. Look, someone, Kurt Batto put out there right now that he could have sent 5,992 bottles of Josh wine to everyone in the state instead of spending all the money that he personally did. But that's a lot of money. Anyway, in West Virginia, Governor Jim Justice will be the Republican nominee. Why does that matter? Joe Manchin is retiring. That is a pickup. Right now, if Republicans don't lose seats, 50-50. 50-50. The vice president would break the tie. One more straight up majority. And Pat Morrissey, the current attorney general, will become the nominee for governor on the Republican side, likely making him the governor. Quick side note, I used to answer Pat Morrissey's phone, my first job in the United States Senate and the Senate Environment and Public Works Committee. So there you go. Now I have connections. I've asked you before, but I want to tell you guys something really interesting about all of you who've supported the show. First of all, thank you. Secondly, just know that 62% of the people who are watching the show aren't subscribed. Subscribing is so important. If you can find the channel, it's been recommended for you, please just take a second and hit that subscribe button. Interestingly, of the people that are subscribed, only 11% of the people hit the notification button. The notification button lets you know about all the great stuff that's happening and that we're starting. So please do both of those things. This Friday, we're going to do a little bit of a game. I have 3 of the OG, the original Make America Great hats, white, red, camo. It will be your choice, whoever wins this. Make a comment in the YouTube version of the show. And we premiere live at 6 o'clock every night. So on Friday night, go to the comment section. Whoever comment has the most engagement, the most likes, the most responses, you win. And you get to pick the hat that you want. So join us at 6 o'clock on Friday night, or even afterwards, and comment and get people excited about yours, and you become the big winner. Remember, we premiere live at 6 o'clock on Friday night. I'll do it again, don't worry. We've got Andrew Giuliani, but first, Senator Tommy Tuberville, who's in the courtroom. Before I get to that, I want to tell you about my friends at 4 Patriots. I don't know when something's going to go wrong, but I've had the experience myself of being without power for almost a week. And I think I conveyed this to you in the past. I had one of those old school generators, and I would lug a gas tank down the street. We have 2 gas stations. One was closed. The other one I would hope would be open. I'd fill it up with gas. I'd come back, pour the gas in. It would allow the generator to run for a few hours. Then I'd have to slug it back. And all of it was like coordinated timing, because you want to make sure you had gas and you could keep all of the things running. And I had cords spewing all throughout the house. But now I have a Patriot Power Generator 2000X. And if you go to 4patriots.com/Spicer, you can get one too. It runs off a solar panel that comes free with it. No gas. That means no fumes. That means no cords coming into your house, because you can literally bring it in your house. No noise. Check this out. In my house, I ran it. I have an air fryer going, a tablet going, a phone going. You can even run your fridge. It's portable, so you can bring it anywhere. You can help a family member or a friend. But again, no gas. It runs off a free solar panel that comes with it. Go to 4patriots.com/Spicer to make sure that you have one when that emergency hits. Power, natural disaster, data grid gets attacked. You'll be ready with your Patriot Power Generator 2000X. Senator, good to see you. I got to ask, what was it that drew you to the Big Apple to go see this courtroom drama?
Well, I was up there on a business, but I wanted to go by and spend a little time with my friend, and not just our former president. President Trump went to the Trump Towers, met him there for breakfast, and then rode in the escort to the courthouse. And he even mentioned, "Don't you watch this, Coach? They have got the 4-block area blocked off where my supporters cannot come within 4 blocks. And if this was any other situation, protesters would be there." But it was interesting. Small courtroom, very drab, cold. They spent a month there. I can't imagine spent a month in that building. But most of the people there were the media that they let in, or the 20 so-called assistant district attorneys. It's their Super Bowl. And of course, they've only prosecuted 3% of the criminals in New York this year. So they have nothing else to do. So they came in to support the prosecution against President Donald Trump. And of course, he's got a gag order, so he can't speak. But that's one of the reasons that I went, and some of the other people, we don't have a gag order, so we can speak. But the judge would not allow us to speak within the courthouse, not the courtroom, but the courthouse. He made us go out in Lafayette Park and speak. And I wonder if he's heard about the First Amendment. But again, it was I think successful. President Trump's handling it well. His lawyers, of course, they will cross-examine or have started cross-examine Michael Cohen, and he even admitted he lies in almost every scenario that is out there when he represents a client. So I can't imagine him being convicted with this kind of testimony.
So I think a lot of people are intrigued. First, it was Rick Scott, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then you. Was it just? It seems like now this has become the cool thing to do. You've kind of set off in motion. A lot of folks now want to go and be seen behind him. What made you want to do it? You were just there and you reached out to him and said, "Hey, I'd love to come to court with you."
Yeah, they didn't invite us. I just called and said, "Listen, in town, want to come by and support?" And sure, come on by. And again, spent the entire day. It was something, again, to support a friend, and also give a voice. And there were 4 of us there: a congresswoman, J.D. Vance, and Alabama's attorney general. So we all spoke in Lafayette Square. We gave our opinion. Of course, President Trump, he can read some things, but he can't really give his opinion of how things are going. So somebody needs to speak for him. And we had another group go yesterday, Mike Johnson, the speaker. Again, it's a kangaroo court. The judge is corrupt. His daughter's making millions off this. Michael Cohen, they convinced him to do it while he was in jail. They went to him and said, "Listen, we want to prosecute President Trump. Would you testify?" "Oh, yeah. I got a lot of good things to say." So, what a better way to get out of jail early, which he did, by being a witness against the former president of the United States. But it's not going to work. I think that I looked at the jurors, and there's 15 of them, 3 alternates, 12 regular jurors, and surely to goodness, there's several of them looking at that, even though if they're liberal, even though if they're not Donald Trump fans, hey, this is not right of how they've handled this, number one. And again, how in the world are we going to take the word of a convicted liar that is up there on the stand and he can't tell the truth? Sean, how about he audio records on his phone secretly President Trump's conversation? You can't. And then they play it in front of us in court, and there's not any of it that is incriminating. That's what gets me. Why would you play that? That's actually on Donald Trump's deal. You got him recorded. He didn't know it. And you put it up there and the jurors hear it and they're going, "Wait a minute. Why would we listen to this? Let's get this thing over with."
So you mentioned the jury. Obviously there aren't cameras allowed in there. So paint me a picture when stuff's happening, when they're describing the audio recording as you just did. Is the jury reacting? Can you read them? Can you get a sense from maybe Trump's attorney that they're excited about or positive? Do they have a positive reaction? I mean, I just give me a sense of what it's like inside there as testimony is occurring. Are people reacting? Are they stoic? What's going on?
Well, first of all, it's so crowded in there. You can't hardly move around. There's police everywhere. There's Secret Service everywhere. People trying to get in and out, changing guard, and so to speak, of protecting the former president. And then you have the jurors sitting up there. And I was sitting behind President Trump, but I could see all the jurors. They were probably 15, 20 feet away from me. And you got to remember now, they've been there going on. I think this was the 16th day that they've sat there 6, 7, 8 hours during the day. They got to be worn out. This trial probably should have lasted 24 hours, got it over with, not guilty, and go home. They've run the gambit, so to speak. And again, you could tell a lot of them are, they were listening, obviously, but it's been a long trial for them. They had to listen to what the owner of the National Enquirer for 4 days, for some reason. But half women, half men. You can't tell anything other than the fact that, hey, let's get this thing over with. Let's finish this thing up, and I'm sure they're looking forward to the end of it themselves. Again, they'll have to go deliberate after after this whole thing is done. So that's going to be a little bit while longer. There's obviously some of them there that don't like Donald Trump. No matter what happens, they're going to say he's guilty. But hopefully there's some on there that's going to fight for our Constitution, fight against this corrupt way that this whole trial was run. And again, you had people on there that were taking notes. But again, you couldn't really tell. They've been in there so long. It looks like they were all depressed just being in there.
So did you talk to the president after that day of testimony? You mentioned you had breakfast and you went over there. What was your interaction with him during or after, or during Brady's?
It was the first day of Michael Cohen's testimony. So everybody's kind of interested to hear what he was going to say. Every time we'd have a break, we'd all go out and we'd go back in a room and get something to drink, whatever. President talk, you'd hear the lawyers talk. It was good. I mean, they had very good conversations talking about, hey, what he had said and the implications of how they were going to turn around and go back, on the offensive when it was their turn. We had lunch. Of course, what did we have for lunch, Sean? McDonald's. They brought, just dozens of Filet-O-Fish sandwiches and all those things. And, he bragged, hey, this costs very little compared if you got it from some restaurant in town. It would have cost a fortune to get this much food because there's 20 people there, all this people as staff, the comms director and people that give advice. But it's interesting for me. But we'd go in and out, hour and a half for lunch, go back in, listen to testimony. It's ongoing saga. But again, I guess we were probably there on the most interesting day, other than yesterday when the cross-examination started. But you can just tell there wasn't a lot that Michael Cohen, when you admit that you're a liar, when you admit you didn't pay your taxes, when you admit that, I've audio taped, not just the president, but several other people that he had an audio tape of recording that they knew nothing about. This is a lawyer that's supposed to have some kind of morals because that's the profession he's in.
Well, it's attorney-client. I've never figured this out because I'm not a lawyer, but I would have assumed there was attorney-client privilege. Trump thought he was talking to his lawyer, and the idea that he's recording him and then playing it in a tape, I don't understand the veil of that necessarily. But I would have assumed if I'm talking to my lawyer, I would have assumed a degree of privacy. And no one wants to bring that up because Michael Cohen is a scumbag, and two, because it hurts Trump, so they don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. And, he admitted that it was all my plan to
hurt the guy.
To hurt the guy. I mean,
so look, the thing that I think is interesting about your presence there, you've drawn up winning strategies. You know about how to be on offense, how to play on defense. And with respect to Michael Cohen specifically, there's been a lot of people who have posited different strategies. Some people say you go right at Michael Cohen, make him admit that he's a liar, make the jury see him admit that he perjured himself, that he's a convicted liar. Then there's some people who are doing suggested a rope-a-dope strategy, suggest that Cohen let him hang himself, say that he really wanted to be so powerful that he acted on his own with respect to Trump, that he wanted to be White House chief of staff. Did you get into the strategy with Trump at all about going on offense or defense or how to handle Michael Cohen, utilizing all the tools in your coaching toolbox?
Well, it's definitely a game plan. Just listen to the lawyers talk behind the scenes between sessions. Again, when I was there, the prosecution was doing the examination of Michael Cohen right off the bat. You can tell it was all written down, had been. They had rehearsed it many, many times. The questions to the answers. He answered them to a T. He never got flustered. That was the whole thing about Michael Cohen. He normally gets flustered, but he held his own. But what amazes me, they asked him questions that incriminated him in terms of the audio. Did you actually do this? Did you take a phone in there and record your client? Oh, yes, I did. And he's not the only one. Okay. Have you lied before? Not just in terms of with this client to get the job done. Have you done it with other clients? Yes. Well, why in the hell would you ask somebody and put them in that situation? I mean, it incriminates him. I didn't understand that at all. Again, I'm a football coach. I'm like you. I'm not a lawyer, but it made Michael Cohen sound like, hey, yes, I'm a habitual liar. I've been to court. I've been in prison because of it. I got out early. But the reason I got out early, this prosecution, they came to me and asked me if I'd testify against Donald Trump in a case against him. So obviously that was a quid quo, whatever you call it, for lawyers and people that are going to go to court. So in terms of the whole thing, Sean, it was it's all orchestrated. It is a sham trial. The judge, he never looks at President Trump. I mean, you can tell there's no love lost there, because President Trump wants to give his side in terms of telling the media, hey, this is what happened. I can't believe that we're going against the Constitution. But they let him read a few things. But I tell you what, they've got him held back because of this gag order, and that's not right. If you're gonna gag Michael Cohen, because he's been making money on TikTok every night on this deal. So, but it's all instigated because, hey, if you do this for us, we'll let you do whatever, and it's not right.
So, how does Trump interact with Cohen? I mean, he was there that day. Is he looking at him? Is he looking away from him? What is he doing while Cohen's testifying or while the lawyers are questioning him?
Yeah, where President Trump was sitting, you can't really see the witness, and so he's got a TV screen monitor right in front of him and the other lawyers, because it's so uncomfortable this courtroom. I mean, you can't. The visibility is not very good. So he actually looked at the screen, which there was a camera on the witness the whole time. So he walked right by me coming into the courtroom behind President Trump. So I don't think there was really any eye contact whatsoever, but there really didn't need to be, because they worked together for a long, I don't know how many years, right. But I just can't imagine somebody that worked for you, that trusted you, that was a lawyer, and pretty much everything you said up there was trying to incriminate Donald Trump. But that's the whole scheme of this. It's a kangaroo court.
So for those of us who can't get in, what surprised you about the courtroom itself? I mean, you've just described, I thought it's fascinating what you just said about how he can't even see the witness. What else maybe surprised you about the layout or the interactions or the procedure itself?
Well, there have to be better courtrooms in that building. I think it's very uncomfortable. The lights it's kind of dim. They do have TVs around where they've got a camera on the witness, a camera on the judge, camera on the jury, and so as a kind of a spectator, which I was, I could kind of look at one screen and see everybody at one time. It was cold, but there's no room in there. I mean, it's just when about every hour they would shuffle in and out the policemen and I guess some Secret Service people that were in there protecting the president and making sure this thing was running in the right direction. I mean, they had to go around each other to try to get out the door. But again, what amazes me is they allow all these district attorneys to come in there and have nothing else to do in New York because they don't prosecute anybody. Again, it was their Super Bowl. This is, hey, we have got him. We're going to prosecute him. We're going to do everything we can to restrain him, but let all the facts come out on the other side. It's not a fair trial whatsoever when one group can talk all they want and the other group just has this gag order. But I like President Trump's attorneys. I've met them before. I mean, they've been planning, cross-examination, obviously, for months. There's not anything new that was brought up there. There was no incrimination on the prosecution side towards President Trump. There's really, I don't even know what the charges are at the end of the day.
That's right. Isn't that what's weird? I don't know what that, aside from the bookkeeping charge, there's nothing else. I know, look, before you go, let me just ask you this. When you got back and you're back in your Senate office now, were your colleagues asking you about your experience? Are they interested in going? What you kind of led the way on this?
Yeah. Some of them ask, what was it like? How did it go? I mean, how did you get in there?
Exactly. All the things I asked. Yeah.
And again, all I did was say, listen, I'm in New York. I'd love to come by and show my support for hey, Coach, we need you to come by. We need you. President Trump can't say anything. You obviously have no gag order on you, but just showing support. And I think it was good that, at two state attorney generals, a congresswoman, and two United States senators there showing support. And again, it wasn't just in the courtroom. We were back there, talking with him and feeling his pulse. Obviously, you're on trial. There's a pressure on you, but if anybody can handle it, President Trump, it is not his first rodeo, because he's been in business all of his life and had to go into courtrooms, been sued by other lawyers and corporations and all these things. And he understands it, but our country's on the line here, and that's right. I understand that. And, we're not going to allow, the Democrats to do what they've been doing since 2016, the Russia collusion and everything else, putting pressure on this guy. We're going to stand up for him this time. We need more and more people to stand up for him on the Republican side. I think that's probably something you wanted to lead to, but there's a lot of interest up here about the trial and about being able to help President Trump.
Good. All right, Coach, thanks for being with us. Senator Tommy Tuberville, always appreciate it. Thank you for being here. We'll check in with you soon.
Thanks, Sean.
You bet. All right, guys, Mother's Day was last weekend. If you've been following the show, you know what I got my mom, don't you? I took this picture right here, and the people at Paint Your Life made it into a beautiful painting. You can choose the kind of painting that you want. Maybe you want watercolor, acrylic, charcoal. It doesn't matter. You get to choose what you think is best. You could actually make a compilation. If you have several pictures, you could add family members. If you have a pet that you want to add in, so they can take multiple pictures and make it into one painting. Then you get to pick your artist, and the artist will send you video updates the whole time. So when you text Spicer to 87204, the people at Paint Your Life will start you down a very quick process to teach you how to upload the pictures and start down creating the most meaningful and unique gift. Now, I gave it to my mom, and then I texted my brothers and sisters, and everybody's now debating where it's going to go. So you might have missed out on Mother's Day, but Father's Day's coming, birthday's coming, 4th of July's coming. Who knows? Whatever it is in your life, give that meaningful, unique gift. And if you text Spicer to 87204 right now, the people at Paint Your Life are going to give you 20% off and free shipping. It's guaranteed, man. If you don't like it, they won't do it. Guaranteed success. I just did all your shopping for you. Text Spicer to 87204. See what the folks at Paint Your Life can do for you to make that most amazing gift. Message and data rates will apply. Great conversation with Tommy Tuberville. Now I want to bring in Andrew Giuliani, who's been live tweeting during his time in the courtroom. Let's welcome him in. Andrew, thanks for joining us. I want to get to the courtroom stuff in a second, but before we do that, the big news today is Joe Biden, and I talked about this a little while ago, accepting, and I'm saying this because the media is playing this, that Joe Biden, is proposing debates. He's actually accepting Donald Trump's proposal of anytime, anywhere. Trump immediately accepted. But let's just be clear, and this is where I think the devil's in the detail, right? And I went over this a minute ago. Biden saying no RFK, which, again, no matter how high he polls, he doesn't get in. It has to be in a television studio with no audience at a television network that's sympathetic to him. All that being said, when Trump continues to reflect on this deal, do you think that he's going to still want to do it?
Sean, you and I are hockey fans, and the way that I think about
it is... No. I'm not a hockey fan. I'm a Bruins fan and kind of a Capitals fan. Well, I'm not a hockey fan.
I didn't want to do this in the beginning of the interview to mess up my hair, but I guess I'll have to answer it this way until I get to this point. You and I are hockey fans, Sean. What I would say about this is the Biden team, whenever he goes into a debate, it's like a team basically on the power play for the entire game. Now that I've made that analogy, I'll take it off to show off my wonderful hair. It's like a team on the power play for the entire game, where the Trump team is a man down the entire time. With that being said, the Biden team is so inefficient, and I think the Trump team, obviously with him being the captain of the team, is doing such a good job in the messaging in response to the border crisis, in response to the economy, in response to the 2 foreign wars that have been started, in response to these political persecutions through prosecutions that are going on, that I would still accept these debates. Obviously, you try to work on some of the details on this, try to see if you can get to a network that's not going to be as unfriendly. And Sean, you've been involved in the negotiations behind those in the past, so you know what that's like. But I think the opportunity to get Joe Biden in a place where you can get the two of yourselves on stage right there, it's a massive advantage to you. I mean, as a candidate, I mean, Trump is extremely clear in what he wants to say. Not everybody always agrees with it. Not everybody always agrees with his tact. But guess what? There are a lot of people that weren't involved in politics before. So I like Trump's messaging over the guy who's in the 20th century.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I will tweak your analogy a minute because I don't think it's teams in this case, right? I think that Trump as the star player will score so many more goals than Biden could score. Like, it's not the team right now. This is a mano-a-mano. This is one player versus one player, a one-on-one game. And I think that Trump, no matter, I get that the terms are going to suck. I mean, literally, I think Biden's going to ask for like 4 nap breaks. But I do think that Trump will just outmaneuver him, and the issues are so much greater for Trump between immigration, the economy, China, etc. The foreign wars, the failed Afghanistan withdrawal, energy independence. Trump can't lose. I mean, he will crush him. Yeah. Therefore, I don't care how many Kristen Welkers you put up to moderate your debate or the people from Politico or New York Times. I think Trump, the advantages as a person are in Trump's favor.
Yeah, and I would also just say that in terms of the debates right there, he's in a great position. I think you and I, though, and I think some others in the media who have had association with President Trump in the past, we also have a responsibility. It's very difficult to do because this sells so well, and I'm guilty of it as well. We make the bar for Biden a negative 10, basically. It's a 0.
Yes. And I'm so glad you brought that up because this is what's going to happen. The media is going to say, if Joe Biden opens his mouth and completes a sentence, it'll be a win. They're going to lay the bar so low that if that guy gets out of bed, they're going to be like, Biden won the debate.
No, and really what the bar should be Biden's comparison to Donald Trump, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Ronald Reagan. That's where the comparison should be. How is he as a president? How has he made your life better or worse over the last 3.5 years? Not whether or not he's a vegetable or not. And then all of a sudden, he's not a vegetable. He's actually able to stand up throughout the entire debate. And people are like, I didn't think he was going to stand up during the debate.
Right. No, see, this is the key. What you're touching on is so important. It's going to be like Biden stood there for 50 minutes and didn't fall down. And that's going to be considered a win. And the Trump team cannot take the bait and try to talk. And this is where I fear it. Trump will outdo him. And that's the thing, is that if he sets the bar so high that everybody thinks he's going to outdo him, then that's going to be the problem. And so Trump's got to keep the bar level and say, gosh, Joe, because he's going to get there and be like, my uncle used to say, Joey, when you build Amtrak and talk to Margaret Thatcher, I told Reagan 5 times that I walked the trail. I mean, he's going to get up and tell these random stories. Yeah. Let him fall on his face. Don't rescue him. And I think Trump's also should watch, by the way, the first debate last time. Yeah. Realize that he can't get in the way of him.
I agree. It's the difference between the first debate and the second debate right there. And probably a better analogy is prize fighters right there. And what Trump kept doing in that first debate was, as Joe was about to fall, he'd prop him up, right? By getting in the way, and Chris Wallace could come in. Let Joe fall when he's going to fall in these debates.
That's right. All right, let's get to the court. First of all, how the heck are you getting in there every day? What are you doing? You got a back door?
I can't give you my trade secrets over here, Sean.
You guys in New York, you guys always have some sort of scam going where it's like, I got a guy, he's got a back door. I bring him a bunch of smokes. He lets me in. What you're in every day. What are you getting in line? Do you know a guy? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I have a friend named Forrest Gump and Andy Dufresne, and they've helped me out getting in there. No, what I've been doing really is the last bunch of days, I've been going online yesterday, starting at 5:45 to get in the room, and it's worked out. So I'm lucky that
wait, just walk us back. You show up, you go there at 5:45. Is that right? Or are you physically in the room?
Yeah, so I've been going back and forth between the overflow room and in the room. And I've been able to use a press credential to get in the room there. Have a hard pass, New York City hard pass there. And so that's how
so that's important. So you're going because of your affiliation with your radio show.
I'm going because of my affiliation with actually a television station, believe it or not.
Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know what station wants you with your face on there, but that's a whole nother story.
I don't get it either, Sean.
I know.
Don't wake them up though to it. Don't wake them up, please.
So you get to go in on a press pass, and then how does that work? There's an overflow room. There's a regular room. How does it? is it determined which room you go into?
Yeah, so Monday all day I was in the main courtroom. Tuesday I alternated with another reporter where I was in the overflow room. I would say for about 2/3 of the day, and he was in the main room. Tomorrow I'll go probably take 2/3 of the day in the main room and go a third of the day in the overflow room. Honestly, actually, in the overflow room, I would say you get 95% of what you need, and you get better audio in terms of what you need to do. Plus, you can use your cell phone, so it's a little easier to get the information out. The only thing you miss in the overflow room is the reactions of the jury, which they've been very good at keeping a poker face throughout this entire thing. And then also seeing a little bit more of the intricacies of how is President Trump moving? What are the media doing, right? And one of the things that's so fascinating in this whole thing is when the keyboards start typing furiously versus when they don't. And Sean, you'd be shocked to know that whenever the prosecution seems to be questioning a witness, the keyboards go absolutely nuts. And whenever the defense does, it seems to reduce by about 90% in terms of the noise coming out from the keyboards. Yesterday, when Michael Cohen went out and was questioned by Blanche, asking if he called Donald Trump, and I quote, a dictator douchebag, used the F word many times, that was an exception where the keyboards were as loud as I could remember them being.
So when you're inside, paint me a picture here. When you walk into the main courtroom where Trump is, how many people are in there? How many are reporters? How many are security? How many are general public?
I would say you've got about, let's say, 7 rows of 6 on both sides. So 7 by, they tell me math is racist now, Sean, so I don't want to be racist, but 7 by 12 is 84. So about, let's call it somewhere between 80 and 100 reporters in there. You've got the DA's office, 10. You've got the Trump team, that's 5. Let's call it about 150 people between the teams, the security. You have about 10 security guards all around there. You have Secret Service in the back, and obviously the judge and 18 jurors, 12 primary and 6 alternate. So let's call it about 150 people with about 85-ish being reporters.
And is it hot in there? I got to imagine that many people in a small courtroom. I keep hearing it's cold.
Yeah.
But it's weird because I would assume that many people crammed in there would get hot.
Well, it's actually pretty cold, and Trump has been calling it the ice box. I think he called it yesterday in his pre-court statements, the ice box. They pump the air up in there. And the interesting thing between the overflow room and the courtroom is that the overflow room is actually hot, what you would imagine. So I get a good sweat going on here. The Giulianis are famously known or infamously known for getting a sweat going on.
That's the one thing. If someone had asked me, like, what do you think about the Giulianis? I'm always like, they sweat.
We sweat. And the sad thing was, one of the opinion comments I wanted to make about Michael Cohen was that he looks like a witness at this point who starts sweating right when he gets out of the shower. But Sean, and it was after a workout, I started sweating this morning after I got out of the shower. So, I can't live in a glass house on this.
So tell me about Michael Cohen. How does he come off? Does he come off as the scumbag that he is, or is he somewhat sympathetic to, you think, to the jury?
Well, the prosecution, I think, I think at first the prosecution might have gone in trying to present Cohen as somebody who's reformed, somebody who has learned the error of his ways. But I think actually throughout this and throughout all the prosecution's witnesses, every witness that the prosecution called that had interacted with Cohen basically testified to how unsavory a character he is. Some saying things, actually multiple saying things like he had lied to him multiple times. Keith Davidson, Stormy Daniels' attorney, did that. Hope Hicks had the famous quote that Michael Cohen liked to consider himself a fixer, but if he was Mr. Fix-It, it's because he broke it in the first place. Even Madeline Westerhout, who I know is somebody that you worked with for a while, somebody who I've been public that I had disagreements with, I thought she did a fantastic job on the stand. Remember, she was the prosecution's witness called under subpoena. She could have been a disgruntled former staffer, and I think that's what the prosecution was depending on. And instead, I think she's been the defense's best witness, being a great character witness to President Trump in all this, and it's been very, very impressive. But with Cohen, I think the prosecution has tried to thought about maybe trying to build up his reputation. They've realized that's an impossible and disingenuous task to the jury. So instead, what they tried to do is set a timeline in the sand, if you will. That timeline being when Cohen cooperated with the Mueller investigation and saying at that time, it looks like Michael Cohen has changed his ways. What Blanche is already doing and started doing right in the very beginning of the cross-examination was showing times just in the last 6 weeks that he had called Trump dictator douchebag, had said how much he wants him in effing prison, had talked about his clothing and merchandise line called Convict 45, along with a coffee mug that says, want him in the big house, not the White House. So I think the defense has done a great job already in cross-examination of showing Cohen as somebody who is not reformed at all.
So one of the theories that I had heard posited was that part of what you could show is that Michael Cohen, because he was so ambitious to please Trump, to what he thought would become White House chief of staff, which is just shows me that the guy's insane, would be to say, hey, look, this guy is someone who took liberties on their own. He did things on behalf of Mr. Trump all the time that he didn't have the authority to do or without informing him. Is that playing out at all, that theory?
I don't know if that's playing out yet, but again, the cross-examination is just about 2 hours old at this point.
Okay.
They're going to go all day tomorrow. I think really it's gotten a lot into, the defense has kind of shown that Cohen's character has not changed, and B, motive, right? Some of the motive that Cohen had, which is approaching what you were talking about. But I think they're trying to show that Cohen has a monetary motive to see Donald Trump convicted in this case. I do expect on Thursday what you're talking about, that theory to play out. I also expect to see some more documented evidence, if you will, of Cohen saying things on the record, whether it's on his podcast, whether it's different interviews with, say, CNN, MSNBC, even recently, that he may have potentially perjured himself with just yesterday. That's why I think actually, even though Blanche said to the judge that he thinks he's going to wrap up with him tomorrow, it might be smart for the Trump team to keep him on the stand a little bit longer to see if they can catch him perjuring himself now, take the weekend if they do, and then hit him on Monday again on a potential perjury.
So what this all really comes down to is a bookkeeping charge, whether it was documented correctly in the Trump organization books. Have you heard anything? We've heard about Stormy Daniels, Hope Hicks. You mentioned Madeleine Westerhout. We've been talking about Michael Cohen. Anything goes to Donald Trump's culpability when it comes to directing a bookkeeping issue with how this money to Stormy Daniels was paid, whether it was a legal fee or not. Have you heard anything that literally goes to that point? Because it seems like everything else that I'm hearing is Michael Cohen this, Michael Cohen that, Madeleine Westerhout, Hope Hicks, but no one's actually saying, did he actually direct this act?
No. If you have to take Michael Cohen's word for any of these documents in order to connect President Trump to them, I would say the two pieces of evidence that could be the strongest for the prosecution. One, a video recording that Michael Cohen actually utilized his phone voice memo, which is a conversation between him and President Trump, which still, the audio is not very clear on this. And to me, even with the audio in all this, there's nothing that actually shows that Donald Trump is behind this. Trump knew. And even if that necessarily is a crime, because again, that had to do with the McDougal issue, that didn't have to do with the Stormy Daniels issue. So it's a little bit disjointed. I know they're trying to make them connected and they're trying to bring the timeline into the election. The other piece is the Alan Weisselberg grossing it up memo, where basically he hand wrote to Cohen that he was going to repay him $420,000 because Cohen was owed $210,000, but it was income, so he had to pay that. And then you'd have taxes removed from it, getting the $210,000. What Cohen says is that Alan Weisselberg wrote it. They have not proven that beyond Cohen's word that it's Alan Weisselberg's handwriting. On top of that, Cohen says that Alan Weisselberg went into Donald Trump's office with Michael Cohen and showed this to him, and Trump approved on it. They have not presented any proof of that beyond Michael Cohen's word. And again, I say this almost every single time I make a note on this case. Michael Cohen has perjured himself to the U.S. Congress. He's a convicted felon and somebody that every single witness has called a serial liar.
Andrew, real quick, I saw your dad severed ties with WABC. how's he doing?
He's doing good. You know, he thrives in the chaos, Sean, and it's like President Trump in that. Sometimes I wish that he wouldn't necessarily find as much of the chaos, but you know, as a son, I've learned a whole lot of lessons from him, and he's tough as nails, just like President Trump.
Okay. Andrew Giuliani, I appreciate you sharing it. As you go forward, guys, I mentioned this at the beginning. Andrew is live tweeting this. And instead of following CNN and hearing their crazy version or whomever, Andrew's giving you live updates. And I think it's worth giving him a follow on X. That's where I go to get the readout. So I appreciate him being with us. Again, tomorrow, a great panel discussion for you. Friday, Tommy Laren's going to be here. Continue to subscribe. Remember, we've got a big giveaway coming your way on the Friday show. So subscribe, hit that notification button, YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, iHeart. I don't really care. Just get it, download it everywhere. We'll see you back here tomorrow for a great panel discussion. Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.